We are here at the Cloud and Cybersecurity Expo at the Marina Bay Sands Convention Center in Singapore. And with me today is Mr. Steve Struthers, VP Worldwide Solutions and Alliances for Cylance. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thanks.
All right.
Good afternoon.
All right, I'll just go straight into the questions. Now, my first question to you is, how do AI components like machine learning and deep learning improve cybersecurity?
Well, cybersecurity is basically a big data problem. For years, we've solved that problem with people and humans, and unfortunately, we are just naturally inefficient at large math problems and solving them in high speed. So machine learning is just great at being able to pick out what we like to call needles in a pile of needles and solving those kind of problems.
All right. Now, when we look at false positive,
Yep.
there's always been an issue from back then, right? So how accurate is AI when it comes to dealing with false positives when deployed in cybersecurity?
Well, I think when we talk about machine learning, we're dealing with, again, massive sets of data. So in a traditional approach, we would look at a much smaller set of data, and we'd be looking at it with humans. And when that's the case, we're not going to find as many false positives, frankly, because we're not looking at as many data files. In this case, we do it at massive scale, so the numbers are larger, so the outputs are going to be larger. And I don't always like to call them false positives, actually, because what we're really finding with our math model are vulnerabilities that exist that just haven't been discovered yet.
Ah, okay, yes. You're looking
So
at
it's important for clients to know, even if they need to run that application, that there is a vulnerability there somewhere that could be exploited. And the machine learning model tells you that.
That's very interesting. All right. Now, having said that, Cylance does a lot of research as well with AI and everything. Now, I understood that you recently launched BlackBerry Labs with BlackBerry. So, how big of a role does Cylance have in this?
BlackBerry Cylance is being incorporated into all of the activities that we're doing at BlackBerry Labs. So if you think about it, one of the reasons that BlackBerry acquired Cylance was around our machine learning models. So the machine learning models are now being incorporated into the back end of many of the BlackBerry technologies that are out there today. So for example, BlackBerry Intelligent Security, which was recently launched, we're doing continuous authentication with a machine learning model on the back end of that already, and we're only 6 months from the acquisition.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's really fast you guys are going.
Yep.
Okay, another question is, judging by the number of growing IoT devices, now, how does Cylance plan to protect these devices? Is it the same method, or is there something different you have to look at?
Well, I think machine learning, once again, lends itself to the IoT problem, right? Because the IoT problem is a problem with identity and trust, and every one of these devices in an IoT world has to be trusted and identified. And you have to have an identity on that device.
That's right.
So to be able to solve that problem, machine learning is a perfect application for that. And frankly, what we've done with Cylance over the years is we've built an extremely compact machine learning model that runs on an endpoint. So you think of an endpoint generally as being a Windows machine or Linux or Mac or some type of a desktop, but we see endpoints today, now that we're in the BlackBerry world, as diverse as automobiles are now endpoints for us. And the machine learning model is so compact and so small that we can actually port it and run it on those devices. So we're running today on many OEM devices that are out there, medical devices, we're running on OT environments, and we're protecting those environments from malware and malicious code. Once again, malware that hasn't been seen before, and that's what we expect to see on many of these OT environments and IoT environments, is new malware that's going to be auto-generated and that we've never seen. So we think we're going to lend ourselves really well to the OT environment.
Now, since you mentioned that, I've got one last question actually. Now, when it comes to cybersecurity as well, and like you mentioned, new malware and all that, this is something which you will only know from a proactive approach, right?
Yep.
But a lot of organizations, even in Southeast Asia, they still like to look at cybersecurity from a reactive approach. Now, why is this so, do you think?
Well, I think that we're in a world, and we've been in a world for a long time, of detect and respond. And the technology and the technique always lend itself to having to see something first, and then be able to take what we've seen and then identify it a second time. And what Cylance did when we built this product was really not an evolution of that, it was revolutionary. We took the idea that with math and with big data, we could actually look at millions of features and facets of a file and predict whether that file was going to be good or bad. And just based on behaviors of what we've seen for 10 years over the time that the team's been looking at things, and many, many years of models that have been built, we're in a really good spot right now where we can predict things. And you think about a market like EDR, it's all about detect and respond. For us, we've entered that market with Optics, which is a product that runs side by side with Protect. And by using Protect to predict and stop things, the response side of that is much smaller.
Oh, all right.
So we've massively done reduced alerts, reduced things that the machine learning model found in code, and then we always need a human to look at something, right, at the end of the day.
Yes.
But we allow the humans to actually do something that's tenable, something that they can get to. When I have to look at 30 alerts versus 3,000 alerts at the end of the day, I'm going to be much more successful.
That's right.
And that's the approach.
That's fantastic. All right. That's all the time we have. Thank you very much for joining us.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, bye.